A trial date has been set for not the Fulton County, Georgia trial, but the other trial of President Trump, the Jack Smith trial, the special counsel trial, the charges that are essentially that Trump fomented an insurrection by speaking outside of the White House on January 6th before the certification of the Electoral College. The speech in which he said, "Go and march peacefully and powerfully at the Capitol." You remember that speech where he told people to be peaceful? Yes, well, he's been indicted for that speech, for fomenting an insurrection. His trial date has been set. Judge Tanya Chutkin set the trial date for March 4th of 2024. That is Judge Chutkin on the screen. March 4th of 2024. Now, you might be thinking, well, that date sounds a little familiar. That date seems like it's a significant date, and so it is. This is the day before Super Tuesday. The day before. Look at all these different primaries that happen on March 5th, the day after this. We have the Alabama primary, the Alaska primary, the caucus in American Samoa. We have the Arkansas primary, the California primary, the Colorado primary, the Maine primary, the Massachusetts primary, Minnesota primary, North Carolina, Oklahoma, Tennessee, Texas, Utah, Vermont, and Virginia all have primaries on March 5th, one day after President Trump's trial begins on March 4th of 2024. Do you think that this is a coincidence? I do not think this is a coincidence. I think that this is election interference. How is this not election interference? Of course, this is election interference. President Trump's team had requested a trial date of April of 2026, significantly after the election, so that none of this would interfere with his campaign or election. And the federal prosecutors had asked for a date immediately, essentially. And this is what Judge Chutkin said. These proposals are obviously very far apart. Neither of them is acceptable. And she said that she will not accommodate Trump's third bid for presidency in setting this date. She said, no more or less deference than any defendant will be treated. Essentially, that Trump is going to be treated like a common criminal. How is this not election interference? If Trump and his folks are going to have to be focused for the next 6 months on their defense, on discovery, there are 12 million pages of documents that they have to catalog and read and make sure that they know the contents of to form their case, to prove his innocence. How is this not going to interfere with the election if Super Tuesday is the very next day? And here's another question. How come President Trump, even though there are 12 million documents that need to be cataloged and viewed and are part of the discovery, how come President Trump's trial is set for March of 2024, and yet January 6th defendants are still sitting in pretrial detention? How is that constitutional? How is that just? This is Judge Chutkin's response to when Trump attorneys said, well, wait a second, this is not a very long time for us to go through 12 million documents. This is what she said. She said, let's take the temperature down. I understand Mr. Trump is presumed innocent, as is every defendant, but let's not overlook the fact that Mr. Trump has considerable resources that every defendant does not usually have. So she is punishing Trump because he's wealthy. She is treating him differently than the quote-unquote common criminal that she claims he will be treated no differently than. Because he's the former president of the United States, he is facing less advantageous circumstances. So one of the hardest lessons for Republicans and conservatives to learn in this political battle that we are engaging in is that we must recognize the reality of the political enemy that we face. And if we don't, then we're essentially going to be Mitt Romney. We're going to be David French. We're going to be all these squishy Republicans who think that we are engaged in a negotiation with well-intentioned opposition who are just unwise about policy. And if that's what you believe, then you're going to be as dumb as Mitt Romney or as unwise as David French. But if you understand the reality of the political enemy that you face, then you can calibrate your tactics and your strategy effectively to not only stop the enemy, but to make sure that we have secured our institutions from ever being assaulted by such an enemy again. This is what Republicans and conservatives do not understand. They don't want to believe that we are in an existential battle for our country. They truly don't believe that America can fall. We might say it. We might constantly talk about crossing the Rubicon. We might talk about it being a crisis. We might talk about the chaos like never before. But do you actually believe that the United States of America could fall and become like the Soviet Union? Or like Cuba? Like Venezuela? Like China? Do you believe it? If you don't believe it, then you're doing a disservice to our country, because what the Democrats want in their prosecutions of President Trump is they want to prevent him from being president. Now, you may be thinking, yeah, I've heard that before. I know that. But do you believe it? Do you believe that they will be effective? Because if you don't believe that the Democrats will succeed in stopping President Trump from being president, then you don't understand the reality of the political enemy that we face. Because right now, that political enemy is winning. Right now, that political enemy has outmaneuvered us. Right now, that political enemy is in charge. And just because some of us recognize that it's wrong for President Trump and others to be prosecuted, that's not enough. We have not done, as a conservative movement and a Republican Party, what's needed to fight back effectively against this political enemy. And right now, you can use any kind of sports analogy you want. We're in the fourth quarter. We are down by 14 with a minute left. How are we going to overtake this enemy? Except it's not sports, it's our freedom. That's the situation that we are in right now. And there are solutions, but the Republican Party is not doing them. The solutions, first of all, George Soros is an evil mastermind, but he was right in the sense that this is a very effective political tactic. His progressive prosecutors project, this was no coincidence. This was no obscure, random, weird, inconsequential move from him. The millions and millions and millions of dollars that George Soros has spent funding political prosecutors like Fani Willis have led to this. And what did conservatives do? What did Republicans do? I know I'm harsh on our party. I know I'm critical of us, of myself, of our team. And the reason for that is because we're losing. And if we don't recognize why we're losing, then we're going to keep losing. Hi guys, it's Liz Wheeler. Don't forget to watch my show, The Liz Wheeler Show, every night at 7 p.m. on the First TV. You can download the free First TV app, or you can visit thefirsttv.com/Liz and start watching today.
Liberals and progressives want to suppress the truth and distract you from what really matters. Don't let that happen. Sign up for the new daily email that's become essential reading for true conservatives. Get the Up First newsletter. Visit thefirsttv.com and sign up today.